So this is RealzTenisFanz the Podcast, the very first episode. I am not sure how this is going to go. This is a trial run, this is a test, but we are going to give this a go. Everyone seems to think that maybe I should try a podcast, and I figured it's easier than going on camera because I could be at home with my wig down, no makeup, no lipstick, and I can probably try to get this going. So let's see how this works. So let me introduce myself. I am RealzTenisFanz, and better known as Reals, I guess, what actually people call me. But and I'm gonna try a podcast. So I'm aiming for this to be about an hour long, but I'm not sure how it's gonna go. I mean, it's gonna be here by myself, so it might work, it might not work. But you know what? I'm very eager and enthusiastic about tennis, so let's get right into it. So, like I said, I should tell you a little bit about myself, I guess, just to get you, for those who don't know, hopefully a lot of people who don't know me are getting to know me through this podcast. So basically, I've decided to do a podcast because, I figured, why not? It's been a blog, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and I figured, why not try to step up my game for 2015 and get myself in a blog. No, I know a lot of people who are fans of the blog and Twitter account know me as being kind of like controversial, but I try to be fair and, I try to keep it balanced, and if I have favorites, I let it be known that I have favorites. And if I don't like someone, I let that be known. But as always, I try to be fair to each person. I give Jack the jacket, I give credit where credit is due. And I give hateration where hateration is due. No, I would not deny that I am a 100% undiluted hater, but I hate judiciously. I never try to, unfairly accuse a player of something. If I dislike something about a player, even if it's my favorite, I let that be known and I give my reasons why. I try not to be a troll on the Twitter account or on Facebook, but I try to be funny and fair. So I think that's about everything. I think everything else you want to know, but you can check me out on WordPress, RealzTenisFanz on WordPress, and you can read my about page, and that way you can get a fair sense to who and what I am. Hopefully this is going good so far. I'm not sure. Let's see. But anyway, the format of this show, basically, what I really want to do is introduce myself already. Then I want to get to the news and results that's happened since the last Australian Open. So that's about 3 weeks worth of tennis. I'm just going to give a coverage. I mean, some interesting things took place in that last 3 weeks, both on the men's and women's side. And then I'm going to do my Reels talk, which is that I covered any kind of like issues and controversy. And there will be a featured story today, which I would cover. Don't want to say what that featured story would be, but I hope y'all stick around for that bit and listen to my feature story today. I don't even keep a clock, but anyway, let's get to the thing. So I think last time I sort of like put out something was on the Australian Open, and I sort of abandoned that during the last second week of the Open. But I think everyone who is living on that rock know that Novak Djokovic beat Andy Murray 7-6, 6-7, 6-3, 6-love. But since then, I don't know if a lot of people are concerned about tennis, but there's been several tournaments since that, like 3 weeks worth of tournament. So in Ecuador, I know tennis goes to South America. But an interesting result, Victor Estrella Burgos beat Feliciano Lopez, Fifi Lopez in 3 sets. Which is really cool because he's 34 years old and he's basically just this unknown quantity out of the Dominican Republic who just came onto the scene and basically won a tour level tournament over a veteran player like Feliciano Lopez. I thought this was a gimme for Feliciano Lopez, but apparently Fifi Lopez has other interest in winning titles in his old age. And he too is over 30. He's 33 if I'm not mistaken. That same week, we were in Montpellier, France, where Richard Gasquet beat Jerzy Janowicz. Well, that's not really fair. I mean, Jerzy pulled out after 3 loves. So Richard Gasquet basically won another title. But it was a good result because he avenged his loss over Monfils in the semifinal. Monfils beat his ass like it was nobody's business in US Open last year. So I guess this is a quality win for him, and this is a place that he really likes because I believe this is his second title in the last 3 years. So, hooray for Richard Gasquet. Let's give him a big old round of applause. And I guess we should also give Victor Bogus a round of applause as well too. So then we moved on to Zagreb, Croatia, where Guillermo Garcia Lopez beat Andre Seppi. This is really cool because I think Guillermo Garcia Lopez, or I like to call him GL, or people probably call him GL as well, has really showed himself to be trying to make a name for himself on the tour. He was seeded at the Australian Open, and I think now he's moving up into the rankings. He had a very good match against Stan. I don't know how he lost that match in the fourth round, if I'm not mistaken. And he beat Andrea Seppi, who we all know beat Mr. Federer. I know. I watched that match. I couldn't believe what the fuck was going on. Roger Federer lost his mind and lost his life in Melbourne. But anyway, both men again were over 30, so we have like some old quote-unquote grandpa winning titles. And you know, Zagreb, I don't know if you know this, it's usually Marin Cilic tournament as the full-time champion there, but apparently he decided he isn't playing this year, or I don't know what the fuck is going on in his life, some injury. But I think it's really more like the pressure and the pressure of expectation. Having won the US Open, he was afraid to show up because he didn't do well after the US Open. He surely made an ass of himself in London in the O2 Arena, and now the pressure of showing up in the next major as the last person to have won a major. He figured to think, oh, I'm not going to show up for that at all. So he hasn't played at all for the year, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. He needs to get his life together. I guess some on-court Viagra, Cialis, because he seems to have low expectations. So I'm going to give a round of applause for Guillermo Garcia Lopez for winning. And for Marin Cilic, who seems to be a scared pussy willow, we're going to give him one of these. Yeah, but you need to get your life together. In the second week, we moved on to Rotterdam, which is a pretty big tournament. I think it's a ATP 500 tournament where Stanley beat Berdych. I really thought Berdych was going to get his life together and win this tournament. He certainly played a really good all week, and he definitely had a lot of confidence coming in, another major semifinal in Melbourne. But apparently after winning the first set, Berdych decided he didn't want to do shit at all. So he lost in 3 sets. Stanley picked up his very first Indo title, which is pretty good. So let's give him a round of applause. But meanwhile, we had some of these young guns who seem to be bullying our bullshit. Murray was in Rotterdam as well, but he lost to Simon. Again, coming off of that horrible Australian Open loss. But the 2 young guns, Gregor Dimitrov and Milos Raonic, I was really expecting them to do something, but again, apparently they had other designs on winning a tournament or even getting for. I think Raonic lost in their opening round. No, I'm sorry. I think he lost in the quarterfinals, and so did Gregor. Lost in the quarterfinals. But anyway, no, and if they're not interested in winning, we shouldn't have any interest in losing. So moving on. Then we went to Brazil. So here we're Brazil, Pablo Cuevas, I don't think that's his name, or Cuevas, whatever his name is. I didn't even know this boy existed. He's from Uruguay. I thought he was from Argentina, but who knows? Anyway, he's from Uruguay, calling to the ATP. I might have to check that, and I don't know if that's true. But, let me give Stan a round of applause. And the crickets are waiting for Raonic and Dimitrov to really step up their game. Yeah, we're waiting for that to happen. Anyway, he won Brazil Open. Didn't even know he exists, so let's give him a round of applause. And then we have Kei Nishikori, who won his 3rd consecutive title in Memphis, so let's give him another applause. He beat Kevin Anderson 6-4, 6-4. And also in Memphis Open, not like any real person really shows up in Memphis except Kei Nishikori. But Donald Young and Sam Querrey got their life together and seemed to play some really decent tennis. Both men got into the semifinal, but of course both men lost. However, Donald Young rebounded to show himself up at Delray Beach because he got through to the final the following week, but he lost to Karlovic 6-3, 6-3. And for the second straight week, Donald beat Bernard Tomic. I mean, Tomic is not like, like he's beating Roger Federer or some top name player, but Tomic is a pretty decent talent. So it's nice to see Young got his life together and keep his shit together and actually stayed committed and focused to winning tennis tournaments, winning matches this year. Because, I mean, as much as, he's, 25 now, and we've heard of this kid since he's like 15. So that's 10 years that we've not seen any real seen anything in regard to the potential that we've heard of this guy. But hopefully this year, I mean, I think he's talented enough to get to the top 20, or at least be somewhere in the top 20 and to be seeded at majors. He shouldn't have to be playing qualifications at all at any tournament. However, I think he needs to get rid of his parents. I mean, I don't mean to kill them or anything like that, but really and truly, he needs new coaching. They need to have an addition or they need to have a substitution or something, but clearly they don't have the tools or the expertise and knowledge to take him to the next level because he's basically still that talented junior and he's 25. So I don't know. To me, we should just basically forget about him. Hopefully he makes a name for himself. Perhaps he might turn out to be a Francesco Schiavone of the men's tour. Maybe when he's like 30, he can come through and win a major sneak through and win the French Open or something. Who knows? But at this point, Donald Young, you need to get your shit together. It's not looking cute for you at all for your future. But hopefully it's a step in the right direction. And then for Ivo Karlovic, I mean, like Dr. Ivo, we got to give you a round of applause. He's still winning titles. So with your 1-2 punch, still giving these men heart attacks. So, and you're over 30 as well. So round of applause for that. And I think that basically brings us to the Rio Open, which I think was probably no. We have to go. We're back to France again. Again, the French boys are doing it in their home country. In the finals, we had Monfils and Simon. They played an amazing match. I mean, I saw it from start nearly to the end, but I think I missed just right up when they were going into the tiebreak. And I have really been impressed with Monfils for the last week or so because Monfils. Usually he shows up what I like to call him Beetlejuice show up, and he's either here and not there, goes, he's all over the place. But these past 2 weeks, he's looked to be in a solid frame of mind. He's sticking with his points. He's not going for any trick shot. He's not going crazy. But Simon has been a patient guy, so he knows how to play the patient game a lot better than Monfils. So he was actually able to come through 7-6 in the third set after a dismal for second set. He basically lost at 1-6. So I was really, really impressed with the results that I saw from Monfils, and hopefully that was one of my New Year's resolutions for Monfils, that he get his shit together and stop acting like a fool. So hopefully he comes through. And again, Raonic disappointed again. He lost in his opening round, and Wawrinka lost into Sergei Stavkovsky. Well, Stavkovsky has been known to be the Swiss cheese slicer because he knocked out Federer, I think, in 2013 Wimbledon second round, and he knocked out Stanley in the quarterfinals. So, round of applause for Stavkovsky for beating a top seed, and also a round of applause for Simon for beating Monfils to get another title under his belt. It's really cool to see these quote-unquote veterans still sticking around and playing very decent tennis. And what I really enjoyed about the Monfils-Simon final, there was no histrionic, there was no drama, there was no call, there was no medical timeout, no rolling all over the place. None of that bullshit. It was just straight, pure tennis, really good points, no long, extended, crazy, histrionic, none of that. It was an absolutely good match. So you should probably check out the highlights for that. I'm saved the Rio Open for last because Divadal showed up, because this turned out to be much more than me expected at all, because this turned out to be like a crazy match. So the Rio Open happened. I think this is the second year of the tournament. Divadal was the inaugural winner last year, and he showed up to take his title. I mean, he's not coming into, I think, since the French Open, he hasn't had a good time since the French Open last year. He's been losing to Scrubs, Corrick, but Michael Barrere. I mean, losing to people I didn't even know I even knew existed. So he's not been having a good time at all. And then he showed up in the Rio Open. I mean, like, nothing gets Divadal going and putting his foot on firm clay. And he seemed to have showed up pretty well. But he was in trouble from the very early goings of the match because in his quarterfinal match, he showed up against Pablo Cuevas again. Who knew this guy existed, but he showed up and he was playing Divadal really, really tough. But I mean, like I think he had a chance to, I think he had match points or even chances to serve out the match. But anyway, the thing you should know about the match is the match was going on until like 3 o'clock in the morning in Brazil. It was ridiculous. I mean, apparently Brazil decided to put all 4 men quarterfinal matches on the same court, one after the other. And I mean, you know how these clay coders in Brazil, no one is going down to Rio de Janeiro to play clay unless they're true clay code players. So you're not going to find someone like Ferreira, like Nadal, or Djokovic, or Murray going down to Rio to play this event. It's going to be all those Spanish boys, all those Italian, all those South American boys that are showing up for this event, and people who are trying to get some free points somewhere. And so these matches are going to go long. So Nadal being the Divadal, being the star marquee event, his match was placed last. But that match started, I believe, around 12 o'clock in Brazil time in the morning, started the next day. And now Divadal later on complained that, this was ridiculous. I don't know why. I don't blame the tournament. I blame the ATP because they made Brazil put all 4 men's quarterfinals on the same code. I'm just like, why would they do this? Unless it's just one TV code, which I don't think it is. But I mean, Divadal, I think you have enough power and pull that if it was 10 o'clock and you thought it was getting late and the other match didn't finish, you could go to the tournament direct and say, look, buddy, I need to go on code number 1. Okay, I'm not waiting around. I got places to go, things to do. I got to Skype with my boo-boo one Monaco. So you got dinner plans with my Monaco. This is ridiculous. So I don't know how you could come out of this match finishing at 3:20 and then blame ATP and say they're responsible for this. That was just absolutely ridiculous. But, Divadal does what Divadal wants to do. But anyway, he came through. As a matter of fact, he beat Cuevas 6-love in the third set. Cuevas was clearly tanking. I mean, like, it was ridiculous. But, I mean, granted that, having played, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, who the fuck wants to stick around and try to beat Nadal on clay? I mean, if he didn't take his chances in straight sets, like, chances I was not going to get it in 3. So I don't blame him for taking this bagel and be like, let me get the fuck off of this code. I don't have any business being here, So I wasn't really mad at him, but the crowd was definitely booing him and they really didn't appreciate it. But still, what can he do? He's trying his best. But anyway, it would have been a losing effort anyway. So he's like, why waste time and be out here till 4 o'clock in the morning and try to win this match, And he's right, he's not going to win. So I don't blame him. But anyway, the real tea was that Nadal lost in the semifinals to Fabio Fognini. I mean, I watched this match and I was like, what the fuck? Nadal started out 6-1, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Then he had a break. He was up a break in the second set. Then all of a sudden, I think this is at the point, I think Fognini was playing a point and Fognini rushed the net to hit a volley. And then he touched the net. And you know how Divadal is all about these things. That he was just like, I want this point. Because the point, if Fognini didn't touch the point, if Fabio didn't touch the net, he was going to win the point anyway. Because Nadal was playing on the other side of the court. Fabio hit into the open court. Nadal walked off and Fabio was like, what the fuck? Like, we need to review this. But of course, there's no reviewing of touching the net. I think it was Carlos Bernardes. Yes, of course it was Carlos Bernardes. He was like, no. You touch the net, the point, Nadal gets the point because the ball doesn't bounce flat. And it was a break point. Nadal didn't even look at Fabio. Nadal just walked off the court and had a seat. And he didn't hear. Fabio was still making noise. And then Carlos was trying to talk to Fabio and Fabio was ignoring Carlos. I'm just like, you know what? I'm getting out of my life. Anyway, from that point, Nadal was up 2-1, serving to go 3-1. Fabio turned the entire match around. Fabio won 5 straight games to take the second set 6-2. Then in the third set, Nadal, they were holding serve. Then all of a sudden, Fabio had match point on Nadal serve as he was serving to go into a tiebreaker. Couldn't hold on because Nadal started to get frazzled. He got into a spat with Bernardes, but we will deal with that drama later on. But Nadal lost the match 7-5, 5-7 in the third set. So Nadal wasn't able to, he lost on clay to Fabio. And Fabio had never taken a set from Nadal in all their prior meetings, particularly on clay. And Fabio had a win over the Divadal and Fabio was facing Ferrer. You know Ferrer was on his knees singing Hail Mary full of grace, the Lord blessed is because he was so happy he didn't have to face Divadal in a click-out final and he could vulture a title because these click-out titles are hard to come by when Divadal is showing up at all the same events that he is. So I think last year when they were in Monte Carlo and he beat Nadal at Monte Carlo, he still didn't even win the title because he lost in the semi. So, you know, he was happy to take this one on the 500 points to move up his ranking because I think he's in the lower top 10. So he's definitely tried to move up to be in the top 4, top 5. You know, he likes that position. That way he doesn't ever run into trouble. He can make a solid run to the quarterfinals of all majors, you know, and make his life look easy and that he's doing something. But anyway, he won, I think. But in the end, Rio Open, Ferrer beat Fognini 6-2, 6-3. So congratulations to Ferrer. And congratulations to Fabio for winning a decent match. That was a solid win. So hopefully I won't see any of this bullshit nonsense you be putting on court all year long. And you're very serious about winning your tennis and doing well. So I think that's on the men's side. On the ladies' side, there wasn't much to really talk about because I think the first week after the Australian Open, Serena won. I think it's 6-2, 6-3, 7-6 over Maria, if I'm mistaken. But she won in straight sets, you know, coughing up along, you know, dragging herself. She beat Maria once again. No surprise there at all. But the ladies had Fed Cup the first week after the Australian Open. And some pretty interesting results, I guess. Czech Republic, which was the defending champion, without Lucy Safarova and Petkovic showed up against Canada, who highest person, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was ranked 200 and something, because Eugenie Bouchard decided she couldn't play Fed Cup. She had no interest in playing Fed Cup. So Czech Republic B team beat the C team of Canada. As a matter of fact, I think it's a D team. As a matter of fact, I know not one of these girls. I don't know their name at all. I've never seen them. It's even a black girl there. I've never even seen this black girl anyway. She's like ranked 200 and something. So I was like, oh, who are you? Who are these girls? But anyway, Karolina Pliskova showed herself to be another asset and another up and coming. She won her 2 ties. So Canada's highest rank was 150. I had it written down here. That was really crazy. And Czech Republic won 4-love. They didn't even have to play the doubles rubber. France beat Italy after being down 2-love after the first days of singles matches. Caroline Garcia came through solid and won the next 2 matches. Won her singles match, the other single match, and then teamed up with Kristina Mladenovic, who won her singles match as well. And they won the last 2 singles doubles and the singles rubber and then the doubles. So that was a pretty good win over Italy. Italy has shown itself to be a really good Fed Cup contender. They have a very strong team, and usually there is no fight, and they're very solid. You know, Schiavone, they know it's well. This time around, they had Camilla Giorgi on the roster. They didn't have Francesca, but they have Pineda, they have Serena and Roberta Vinci. So they have a solid group of girls. I mean, they might not be top 10 players solidly, but you know, as a team, they're really good. And Irani and Vinci, I believe, are number 1 or number 2 in doubles. So it was a really good win for France, and they had a pretty young team. And good job for Mauresmo. And good job. That last one was for Pliskova, and the Czech Republic team was really good. Next up was Russia. Russia crushed Poland, which is surprising. I thought that, you know, Radwanska, Aga would be at least win 1 match, but she didn't. Maria, led by Maria and Kuzirex, Martha and Kuzirex dealt with Poland like it was like they were the Canadian team, full of. So they moved to the semifinal. Meanwhile, Martha was like, I'm not playing the semifinals for Fed Cup. You know, Martha just showed up in Krakow just for the Olympic eligibility. Apparently, she wants to defend her silver medal in Rio next year. But hopefully, I think the main goal for her would be like she can at least win more than 1 game in the final if she even gets to the final. But good for her and good for Russia. Congratulations. And congratulations also go to Germany for 4-1 victory over Australia. You know, Germany lost the Fed Cup final last day after a horrendous performance. I mean, Germany has some solid players, but apparently they're solid physically, but not solid mentally. I mean, we all know that's true. We might want to say it out loud, but it's true. Germany has a bunch of players with a very solid, good game physically, but mentally they are. And that's not a read. That's the real truth. That's the real truth. So anyway, they had a really good win. Petkovic had a quote-unquote epic match against Sam Stosur. She won 12-10 in the third set. So that was a good win for them. So they move on to the semifinal. I'm not sure how the semifinal in the Fed Cup is going to play out, like which team go with which. But anyways, it's Czech Republic, France, Russia, and Germany who are in the semifinal stage. And in Group B, just tell you the results. Netherlands beat Slovakia. Romania beat edge out Spain with Halep. Halep showed up for this event and she won 3-2 over Spain. Switzerland, who knew Switzerland had full female player other than Martina Hingis? I mean, but apparently they had enough people to feel a team. And I don't know, I think, yes, Belinda Bencic showed up. I mean, I didn't even know they had 3 other women there, but anyway, apparently they do. So they beat Sweden 3-1. And the USA went to Argentina. Of course, Venus and Serena showed up again for Olympic eligibility next year. They're trying to win full doubles gold medal, I guess, and also Serena's trying to defend her Olympic gold medal. So they showed up against Argentina, and they won 4-1. It was a really solid team. I mean, it's interesting to see the U.S. team beyond Venus and Serena. They had Taylor Townsend, they had Coco Vandeweghe, and they had, I think I'm forgetting someone else, but I think that was the team. Yeah, I think that was the team. So good job for Mary Jo. You know, we finally got, buzz around Fed Cup for the Americans, but most people think Fed Cup is dead. I mean, I'm not going to say it's dead, but, hey, it's there. So congratulations to the other team who won. So moving on to real tournaments in Antwerp. What's the name? Petkovic. Petkovic showed up to Antwerp. They've reinstated this tournament. I think the last time they played it was 2008, when Justine won it. But anyway, they brought back this tournament. Kim Clijsters, Mommy Dearest, is now the tournament director. And Petkovic won the title. But Carla Suarez Navarro didn't show up. She pulled out and said she had a neck injury. So then Kim stepped up to the plate and be like, you know what? People have paid their money and I need to show them something. As a tournament director, I got to wear a different hat, that kind of bullshit spiel, whatever. And she won 5-3 in an exhibition, said Petkovic. Petkovic said, oh, Kim, I'm so happy you're no longer playing. Yeah, girl. I mean, like, if you can't be a mother, okay, really? You shouldn't be on the tour. If you can't be a mother and you're slaying who just showed up on it, I don't know. Kim was warming up and you couldn't even be here. You're in the professional. You couldn't even win that exhibition set. Oh, you couldn't even make it interesting to even push it to a tiebreaker. Petkovic, Andrea go, yeah, bye, girl, bye. But anyway, I'm happy for Kim, making that money, making that bread after the fact. Yes, and congratulations for beating a player still. Are you sure that you still got game? Anyway, Daniela Hanchukova, for the second week, won Pattaya City in Thailand. I don't want to mangle the girl name who she beat. I think it's Alija Tomiljanovic. I may have got that wrong. Anyway, she beat her in 3 sets. I think this girl is from Croatia. So congratulations to Daniela. I think she loves this tournament. I think she's won it this is the 3rd time. So, still trying to slay it out there, still putting in the effort and the work. I still think Daniela is capable of making some noise at the majors. But, Daniela seems to be, still wanting to put the effort in. So I still salute her. And people might think this is sexist, but I think she's an amazing looking woman in terms of she does bring that sort of a nice personality. She looks like that kind of person you can hang out with and enjoy yourself. I mean, let's be real. I mean, nobody really wants to hang with Maria Sharapova. At least I wouldn't. Daniela, I think she and I will be good drinking buddies. I'm just saying. So congratulations, Danny. In the second week, we had Rio, but nobody was checking in Rio for the women's game. And then Sarah Irani won. So I guess we should say congratulations. Nobody showed up in Rio for the women. Everyone showed up in Rio for the men. So congratulations, Sarah. The real hot ticket for the women's tournament on that second week was definitely Dubai, where Venus was supposed to be the defending champion. She played an amazing first round match against Belinda Bencic. I think she won 6-1, 6-2, or 6-2, 6-2. Then showed up against Lucy Safarova with absolutely nothing in the tank. Lucy dragged her all over the place. But congratulations to Lucy. That was a good win. But the real tournament turned out to be, I guess, a display of some of the new players who can probably take over when these quote-unquote older players are out of the game. You have Karolina Pliskova, Gabi Muguruza, and they definitely, and Simona Halep, they definitely stepped up and showed us that they have some level of game, that they're probably capable of taking over and winning tournaments, major tournaments later on. Muguruza crushed Aga Radwanska. I think Aga only won like 5 games in the straight sets loss, and Pliskova eventually beat Muguruza in a 3-hour. Supposedly they call it an epic semifinal, but I'm telling you, I saw the match. It was epic in the only surpassed the amount of errors. It was ridiculous. Neither woman looked like they wanted to win this tournament. It was. I personally couldn't wait for it to be over. What I did enjoy was the other semifinal, which was Wozniacki versus Halep. I thought Wozniacki came out pretty strong. She was hitting the ball really nicely. She won 6-2. Then she decided to call her daddy out on court. And Simona Halep sat there. She dealt with herself together, and she got her life together. She got her life together, and she snatched Wozniacki's wig. I mean, she snatched that wig and exposed that shit for filth. She was exposing the tracks, the scalp, everything. You could see the baby hairs when she was finished. It was ridiculous. Karolina Wozniacki only basically held silver once for the next 14 games that were played. She lost 6-1, 6-1, 6 for the next 2 sets. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, if you can't be a top-level player, having won the first set 6-2, and then need your father to come down there, your coach, whatever you want to call him at that point, to give you inspiration or motivation. This is ridiculous. Wozniacki, I mean, I guess so. Get alive. Get your shit together. But this is ridiculous. This is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and quite frankly, you haven't had a good year. I mean, you showed up in, was it Auckland, and you lost in the semifinals to Venus, and everyone thought, okay, then you're coming in with some confidence. I mean, you lost to Venus, it's someone you haven't beaten before, so I mean, it wasn't an unexpected loss. I mean, granted that Venus could be, up and down, but still, I mean, you showed up at Melbourne, you lost in second round. Okay, you playing Azarenka. Azarenka does everything you do, but better. So that was unexpected. But I mean, you couldn't muster a better showing in the semifinal against Halep, and you lost. You got 2 breadsticks. No, please, 5. Yeah, but anyway, Halep went on to win the event over Pliskova. Pliskova beat Muguruza, as I said, earlier in these finals. So that was a pretty good, solid win for her. She was talking about, feeling the pressure of being the number 1 seed, and it wasn't like, oh my God, like I felt like all the girls are gunning for me. Except Simona, shut the hell up. I mean, like, nobody, all the girls are not gunning for you. Only girls that gunning for you is the one across the net. When you show up in a tournament, you don't have to play all the girls. You just have to play 4 to 5 of them, 7 of them if you're in the final, if you're in a major, okay? So stop with this nonsense about week, giving us this platitude of excuses before you even do. You're on the tour, you're fit for play. Get your shit together, play. I mean, like, I think you're a solid person. I think you need to beef up yourself a little bit, but hey, you're showing yourself last night to be quite able to handle a lot of pressure. You played with some of the best. I mean, you beat Serena, but then you lost to her. But I mean, that was still a solid win. I mean, like, a win over Serena does not come cheap, okay? You do not get a win over Serena that easily, especially in the latter part of her career. When you beat her, you really beat her, unless she's injured. And still, that is, as you saw against Maria, Serena could come in a wheelchair and still beat people. So, I expect you're supposed to do better than this for yourself. I mean, but then again, if you don't want to win for you, I can't want to win anymore for you. So get your life together. So anyway, I think that's about wrapped it up for the news and events. I hope that wasn't too long and drawn out boring. But anyway, the men are in Argentina this week and Dubai as well as Mexico. Divadal is playing the Argentine Open. He's there with his boo Juan Monaco. The men are in Dubai as well with Federer and Djokovic. And they're also in Mexico with Gregor K. Nishikori, and David Ferrer flew from Rio for Mexico, because I think he's the defending champion in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So he wants to get some extra points and defend those points. And the women are in Acapulco, Mexico with Sharapova and Irani, and also in Doha this week. Venus is there, Radwanska, Makarova, Petra Kvitova. I honestly expect Petra to take this title. I think Halep pulled out. So I think Halep was the defending champion and she pulled out before. I don't blame her. You know, she needs to take care of her body and you don't need to be playing all that much tennis. So let's move on. So this week should be a good, interesting week. We have some good, solid. A lot of the top players are throwing themselves. Federer and Novak are playing for the first time since the Australian Open. So it's nice to see them back on the tour. So let's get into the Realz drama and the Realz rumors. So let's move on to the next section where we're going to be earning our money and where this is going to be the make or break section of this podcast. Yes. So the first thing I want to talk about is, has anybody but me noticed that that Sascha Bajjan, Serena's, I would think we can say now, former hidden partner, is no longer going to be there. Apparently, it created a bit of a stir in the beginning before Melbourne started. He wasn't there, and everyone just like, Serena, where is Sascha? And then she said, Sascha has an injury, etc. And interestingly enough, what I thought was really fascinating about this is that people were asking Sascha on Twitter about what the hell was going on, but he didn't say anything until Serena said something. So I thought it was very odd, because if it was just a matter he had to go back to Berlin to get treated for some injury, etc., I thought he would have clarified that matter right off the bat before she had something to say about it. But anyway, she said everything is okay. Sascha is rooting for her. He's tweeting her and everything. But oddly enough, Sascha took down, there was a wallpaper on his Twitter account with him and Serena back in Australian Open, or US Open 2012. And he took down that backdrop. But he still kept in the description box, that he's Serena, hidden partner, etc., etc. Now, fast forward to when Serena won the title. She got this new hidden partner. She said Patrick brought in, some French guy, in Sascha's absence, and even Patrick was taking over the role of a hidden partner time. And this French guy, and she can practice the French, etc., etc. But then she said something rather odd. I don't know if most people noticed this, but I felt like when she added, I'm fiercely loyal, I'm not so sure, because this guy is really good, this new guy. I didn't even learn his name because, I love me some Sascha. And quite frankly, I have no interest in learning some substitute name when we're not going to see him around. But apparently, I might just have to learn his name because Sascha seems to have been off the scene. Sascha took off, Serena's hidden partner. And I think what he has in the description box is not trying the best I can be 24/7, 24. One of those mumbo jumbo philosophical bullshit. Like, who gives a shit? Like, like only God can judge me. I'm trying to be the best that I can. Don't judge me. Yada yada bullshit. Get the fuck over yourself. Okay, people. Whatever. Anyway, one of those like inspirational quotes, I guess we should call it. And then Serena had said, as I got sidetracked and saying, at Melbourne, she's fiercely loyal and, she's not. So sure, it's a very tricky situation. So I felt that, Sascha's job was up on the chopping block. And, a hidden part is a hidden part. It changes, whatever the case is. But I felt that Serena and Sascha had a very good rapport. I thought they were like brothers. She has brothers, but, from what we have seen is that she mainly grew up with her sisters. So I thought it was an interesting relationship, that, I didn't think it was anything personal, like, they were messing around at one point, but I just thought they had really good chemistry. And I think Serena works well when she has, positive people around her, not too many distractions, because she can go off the rails in terms of like, she needs to be focused more. She's not as zen-like as Venus can be, though the looks are deceiving. We all know Venus can be taking a mental holiday and quote all the time, but you know what? We're not here for that now. We're not talking about that right now. We'll talk about that another day. But anyway, what was also interesting for me about this whole thing is interesting for this year that I didn't see Austin Williams at the Australian Open. I don't remember seeing her being there. So I don't know what's going on with Serena. It seems like some major changes are going on. And, we don't know what else. So that's an interesting story. I would like someone to follow up on in some way and spill the tea, because I don't know, perhaps I'm out of the loop. I'm missing something. But talking about switcheroos and all this, drama, then we move into I thought we had finished with this coach switcheroo drama between Loch Ness Murray and Burditch when that shit had happened where Murray fired Danny Valevedu. I don't even know his name. I just know his name is Danny and he's cute. That's all I'm concerned about. Not concerned about last name because if it becomes really serious, they will be taking my last name anyway. So I'm not concerned about learning your last name. But anyway, I thought we were over with this nonsense, especially when Kim. Oh, by the way, I have to say that Kim Sears, Mrs. Murray, I guess soon to be Mrs. Murray, I gotta give you heads up prop for your little flash check fuck statement. I mean, that was a little bit ethnocentric and maybe xenophobic, but it was a good read. It was a very good read. I mean, but anyway, you're supporting your man. I can't be mad at you. And I can't be mad at Merca for being, calling Santa crybaby. Interesting enough, as much as you use profanity, I would have to give Merca the heads up on this one. I have to give Merca the A+ on this one. Not just because, I love Federer, but because I really think it takes a lot of balls for Merca to be in a quiet room, in a quiet stand where everyone is fever pitch tension, everyone is waiting for the person to receive, so that she decided to say loud enough for everyone to hear, "Can't stand a crybaby." That takes some balls. I mean, look, hey. But anyway, never fuck with a woman who pushed out 4 babies, 2 at a time. So, Merca, you get my mucho respecto. So, Kim, you get respect too. But you know what? I would think Merca could hold up, will be watching my back if there's a fight breaks out, okay? Not you. Anyway, so I thought we were over this drama with this coaching switcheroo, whatever, Danny left Murray fired him, and then Danny went to work with Burditch, who couldn't get Ivan Lendl to work with him. So I guess, Burditch was definitely eyeing Murray's team, and he was really interested in getting anyone from Murray's team. But anyway, so he got Danny. And I thought Danny has definitely did some improvement on Burditch's behavior, in particular his mental attitude. He's a little bit less frazzled than cold. But anyway, this shit wasn't over because all of a sudden, here comes the ladies not to be outdone by the men. Because all of a sudden, Genie Bouchard put up on Twitter, of course. Apparently, Twitter is the place to give announcements, which is some fucking tacky and bullshit. But anyway, she decided that she was going to make an announcement on Twitter. And she said, "Oh, I have an announcement to make. People look out, guys," some crap like that. Anyway, next thing you know, homegirl showed up a picture with she and Sam Sumik. And apparently Sam is a new coach. And everyone was just like, what the fuck? Like, what? Hold up. Minute. Let's take a minute right here. Because what the hell? Like, we all expected Vickie to be working with Sam. I mean, I think they've been working together for like 5-6 years. But I thought it was a very successful relationship. I mean, Vickie definitely won 2 majors with him, got to like 2 more major finals with him. So she was definitely playing really well. I mean, I know she was injured all of last year. However, I guess things sort of like, melted away since in that departure. But I thought that she's like ranked 48 or something. As if she's going to move up the ranking, she definitely needs someone who knows the game inside out. But apparently she fired him, which we only found out because Genie made the announcement for us. So, and apparently she didn't steal him from Vickie. Apparently it was known, she was told. So they had said that she was told that Sam was available and if she would like to work with him. And I thought it was a good deal because to me, Vickie and Vika, she likes to be called, whatever, girl, they're saying about you. Vickie has a very similar game to Bouchard, but Vickie's game is much more accurate than Bouchard. Bouchard comes out and firing like, I don't know, like the coat, all over the coat is the, she looked like she was like a good marksman without any good target. She's firing on all cylinders all over the place. I never very similar game. So I figured, why not? He seemed to be a person to probably hone in a lot of her skills and make her more reliable. She had an amazing year last year. She made the semifinals of 3 majors, got to the final of Wimbledon, including one of those, and got to the 4th round of US Open, if I'm not mistaken. So, but she didn't do well on the tour tournaments. And again, this sort of pattern continues this year. I think in Melbourne, I don't remember where she got to in Melbourne, but I don't think she got to the semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. She got to the quarters or 4th round. So she definitely needs someone. And I think Sam is going to help her do that. I mean, she lost in the 1st round of Dubai in the first coaching partnership, but I mean, it takes time. I mean, look at Aga and Martina Navratilova. Aga hasn't done shit since Maria Martina showed up. As a matter of fact, other than beat Serena in an exhibition tournament, and who really counts that? But but I thought without the coach, I think Aga would have done better without Martina. But you know what? Maybe it's too early to think. That's just me. But I'm just thinking, Aga seems to have been doing better without Martina, and perhaps Martina is trying to get herself some publicity, trying to be a Boris Becker here. But Boris gets results with Djokovic. Martina's a girl. Proof is in the pudding. You can be a coach, but you need to be a winning coach. Otherwise, leave Aga to fuck alone to her own devices. She was doing well without you. She was happy making the quarterfinals, fourth round, every once in a while sneak in some way and had people say, oh, Aga, this could be Aga's turn. No, you showed up and her ass ain't winning shit. So, yeah, Martina, step your shit up or step the fuck off. Anywho, so meanwhile, I guess the other major thing with this whole Genie Vickie shit is that Vickie sent out some silly tweet, but I think she was watching a movie, and even if she wasn't, she shouldn't be mad at it because she fired the man, and the man needs to go eat and get a job. So if you don't want him, somebody else would. Girls, you can't be mad when you leave your man, and some other woman take your man. Okay, don't be mad at that. You just have to deal with it. That's how it goes. Find yourself a new man. So I think she is in Dubai this week. Vickie definitely is Vickie, but I don't know who her coach is, and I haven't read anything that says she has a coach. But let's see. I hope she doesn't decide to go coachless because she can be a tornado. She needs someone to basically keep her focus on coach, especially since she's number 48 and will need to get her life together and move up. As a matter of fact, I expected her to have played last week, but apparently she played Fed Cup, I think, after the Australian Open. She lost in the quarterfinals. Fourth round to Cibulkova. Who lost in the quarterfinal eventually to Serena. But anyway, so I think that's about, yes. So we're moving on to the more Twitter drama. Apparently, Twitter seems to be the place where people think Twitter will be the death of us. I mean, who knew brevity was not only the source of wit, but destruction? I mean, seriously, 148 characters are just producing concentrated evil in a huge quantity, and people lose their fucking life over Twitter. But you know what? I am digressing now. Anyway, to the major drama. So the major drama, another drama that came out, but Murray didn't post anything on Twitter, but Twitter was set on fire. Murray noted that in an interview, he said, he didn't think that Boris Becker brought any new technical or tactical changes to Djokovic's game. He said, to be honest, I don't see much difference since Boris. He has not made the sub a better player. However, which is what apparently all of Twitter seemed to have forgotten, he added, however, that doesn't mean Boris doesn't help him. The results, they are getting the results, and that's most important. Something along that line, he said. And, I mean, Djokovic fans lost their mind. How dare him say anything? And if we say something about Maresmo, it will be sexist. Chance now, if you say something about Amelie Maresmo in relation to Andy Murray, you would be saying something sexist. It isn't that it is sexist because you say something about Maresmo. It's because what you're saying about Maresmo usually would be sexist. And it's actually true. I think Murray made a very astute comment that, Boris Becker was not brought on to the Murray Djokovic team for any technical support. He brought on it to keep Djokovic's mind together and keep him some extra that sort of mental policing sort of like thing. It's almost like he was being a school psychologist. He wanted someone who's been in these tough positions before. I mean, Marin Vida had done an amazing job. But I mean, like, who was Marin Vida while he was on tour? I don't know. I've never seen him before. So until he showed up as Murray's coach, Djokovic's coach. So I mean, Boris Becker has won 6 majors. He's definitely been a young winner, a young phenom, and that pretty much exemplifies, I think, Djokovic to a certain extent. And I think Becker showed up on the scene, and he helped Murray. Becker showed up on the scene, and he definitely helped Djokovic. I mean, Djokovic won Wimbledon over Roger Federer, and that was a big win. I mean, he'd never beaten Federer at Wimbledon before, and Federer came to the hair with the fact he's taking that title. And I mean, it's rather difficult to beat Federer on grass. I mean, granted, Stakowski had that win over him in 2013. Not gonna lie, I feel shame about that. But I mean, Federer has 7 titles here, and he's been in the finals 2 more times now. So he definitely knows his way around, the SW19. So that was a major win for Djokovic. And Djokovic showed up in a lot of finals against Nadal, and he wasn't there. He clearly had the capability of winning a couple of those matches against Nadal, but he just didn't have the mental whereabouts to get through, pushing the hurdle. So I think he brought on Becker for that, and now since Becker, I think Becker came there last year. He's won 2 majors now since Becker, so I think he should be happy with the results. And Murray's right; it wasn't a technical thing. They're getting the results they need. Djokovic is winning a lot of titles still. So, hey, you Djokovic fans, y'all need to sit the fuck down. Y'all are out of control. And I think that can also go for some of you Divadal fans. But we'll get to that. Another Twitter drama again. I'm telling you, Twitter is the crazy, insane place. Apparently, 2 journalists decided they should have a pissing contest. They couldn't share the sandbox apparently, and felt the need to stage a little dick pissing contest via Twitter land. So, I mean, this is Ben Rothenberg and Barry Flatman. I mean, most of you may not know these people, but apparently they are big in tennis. Ben Rothenberg has a very huge Twitter following, I would admit that. I mean, like, he seems to be, I guess he tapped into the young, hip world of tennis, sort of like, and I think he definitely knows a way around the new technological age of tennis reporting coverage. And Barry Flatman, I guess, is some ex-player, some old-school journalist. But anyway, this drama started off because Flatman decided he would troll Pliskova during the semifinal of Dubai and call her heartless when she took a medical timeout. Anyway, Ben responded by saying, he literally, Barry decided he was going to tag Pliskova as he made this comment. He actually put her Twitter handle. And Ben responded by saying, called him out by saying, how can you have this baseless trolling? I mean, like, there's no, which is fair. I mean, like, but, since they're colleagues in loose sense of the term, they could have done this quite differently, I guess. I mean, they could have sent him a message, but which is what Flatman decided to do. Barry decided to send him a message and say, you, Sonny, may think you are God's gift to tennis journalism, but rest assured you're not. Try getting a proper job first. He sent this a direct message, so no one saw this message but Ben. However, Ben decided that he was going to show it to the entire world. And he took a screenshot and then posted it on his Twitter account for everyone to see. And people went out of control. And Batman, and I don't think Ben responded after that, which I thought was rather wise. Actually, it's not wise. Let me take that back. That's almost like setting a building on fire and then coming up and then going in the stands and watching it burn. This is what he did. He wanted controversy, set place on fire, and he basically came back with the police to see what the shit was going on. So there he was, and the whole place made a mention, and he put the word "bay," which is supposed to be some Scandinavian Danish word for shit or poop or fart, some shit like that. Who gives a shit? Anyway, Flatman called him a young upstart, and to speak to him, he would allow some young upstart to speak to him in this manner, and seen as he had assassinated one of the best tennis journalists in the world. Now, to be fair, Ben Roethlisberger is not an assassinator. In the truest sense of the word, he didn't shoot anyone, but apparently he did committed the ultimate, egregious manner by calling out another journalist for plagiarization. No, look, I mean, like, so this incident, I guess, started last year at some point. I think it was last year. Ben called out Neil Harmon for plagiarizing most of his work. I mean, first of all, Neil Harmon was copying people's work as though he was a Xerox machine, and it was crazy. So he was making money off of this, and I think a lot of what he took was Ben Roethlisberger's work. And I mean, he was sampling the work, but this was an old school mixtape of soul music, and he was in the rap game. But who knows what, so Ben made a story about this, of course. I don't know if it was wise to do it like that, but apparently it turned out that when the story broke, the actual newspaper story about which Ben said Harmon was plagiarizing, everyone knew. In terms of the people the Wimbledon committee were aware of this, other journalists were aware of this, and they said nothing. And to me, that was what was most disturbing about this entire story, was the fact that people knew this guy was plagiarizing their work, and they said nothing. He was profiting from this, and to me, that's unfair. I mean, writers and artists have a hard enough time making money, and there you are, one of the privileged few, and you're a journalist. Your job is to write, and you're telling me you're not writing, you're stealing people's work. I mean, that's not character assassination. I mean, like when you decide to plagiarize in a major way, this isn't like, you're in grade school copying out shit out of Wikipedia or from some, copying your friend's homework. This is you're on the international stage. I mean, Harman was supposed to be an international, I don't know, International Association of Tennis Writers. Who knew they had such a shit? But to me, that seemed like an echo chamber where a bunch of boys stroking their own ego. But anyway, he resigned from it and said, like, oh, I was sorry. And he gave some bullshit excuse and I was exhausted. But you can't be fucking exhausted when you're looking up other people's work to copy it. You're not exhausted doing that shit. If you're exhausted, you'll be writing bullshit. But when you're copying quality work from other people, you're sane, you're alive, you're fresh and awake. You've been drinking Starbucks coffee. So get the fuck over yourself. But anyway, and to Barry, I'm going to say this is an assassination. When you're sampling other people's work, you're basically playing Russian roulette. When you get caught, it's an assassination again. This is basically eating a bullet. You got caught. So, accept the consequences. But to me, overall, this whole shit is that this little bullshit between you and Ben should not have been done in public. I think you were wrong beginning to tag Pliskova, but then I think you did a semi-mature thing by sending him a direct message. But I mean, your direct message wasn't anything to encourage any sort of conversation. And Ben, you were doubly wrong to then post this shit online and then just watch it burn and just cause more terror. And it's ridiculous. I mean, y'all are too grown for this bullshit. I'm absolutely sure both of you are at least over 30. Don't know, but don't care either. But still, this is really bullshit, and Twitter shouldn't be wasting their time on this shit. But you know what? Ben, your fans ate it up, and with this nonsense. But still, and Barry, let's get things, okay? You're a journalist, words. Assassination, this wasn't assassination. Neil Harman committed career suicide, okay? He just got caught. And if y'all have any sort of integrity, you would still be his friend, but still publicly acknowledge that he was wrong. You don't need to say some shit like, like he was a good journalist. Clearly, he used to be a good journalist. When he started stealing people's shit, he stopped being a good journalist. He became a thief. That's just plain and simple. But, again, have y'all pissing contests in a private bar or bedroom someplace else. Don't have this shit on Twitter. This is ridiculous. It's classless. It's boring. It's bullshitty. Anyway, so my this isn't the major story I guess I want to talk about. I guess I have a feature story to turn up, but I guess the last bit of story I want to talk about, again, we're going back with Twitter world and the internet. It's basically Divadal in Rio. Now, maybe fair here, I'm not a huge fan of Divadal. I think we all know this. I mean, but I have absolutely tremendous respect for Divadal. I mean, Divadal shows up at Paris and basically slay the competition. And I mean, that takes a lot of balls. And he's shown himself to be he is the greatest fickle player. There is absolutely no questions if and about that. I personally don't think my personality don't gel with his personality. And I said that as if we actually know each other when we hang out. But I just don't like his vibes per se. I don't like his vibe. I don't like his entourage. I don't like the whole production behind their show. It's just ridiculous to me. And of course, Divadal showed a disappointment when he showed up in Rio for the same nonsense again. First of all, did any of you see Divadal trying to dance at the Rio de Janeiro Carnival with Sergey? What I'm talking about? What's his name? Oh my God, 3-time French Open champion. 4-time. What's his name? Gustavo Curtin. Oh my God, I'm seeing his face. Anyway, Gustavo, you see, Divadal really wanted to drop it like it was hot, but I think he realized, hey girl, I gotta keep my shit together in front of people. I can't be twerking on the international stage. But when Divadal went home, he was dropping it like it has, doing dirty wine, twerking it, giving the head roll, the eye back to the back of his head. He was definitely giving one Monica out of the show. But you know what? You didn't hear it from me. Okay? Anyway, so Divadal showed up in Rio and he had this whole drama and he lost to Fognini and that was all this whole nonsense, whatever. But anyway, I guess the main story about this whole thing came out in the fact that he got into this spat with Carlos Bernardes, the umpire. Carlos Bernardes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's from Brazil. So Divadal complained when Bernardes gave him a fault, warned him about taking too much time between points. This is anything new. Anyone who watched a Divadal match knows that the motherfucker spends nearly the entire match picking out his ass, touching his head, doing all kind of shit between points. Divadal spends more time working on his antics instead of working a point over. And that's to say so much. That's to say the least. That's a lot. Because, I mean, you know how he works a point over. Anyway, Bananas give him a warning, like I think more than twice. He didn't take a point. He didn't give him a point penalty. What he did, in fact, do was, I think after he had given him the maximum amount of warning, he gave him a fault. So he was up to serve his first serve. He said fault, and Divadal, he had a second serve. Anyway, this was in the middle when Divadal was having a breakdown and losing the second set. So he still had time to recover in the third set. Anyway, Divadal got pissed off at Bernard, and he was just like, let me tell you something seriously. I'm going to ask you to ask not to be umpired by you again. I can't cope with you. You are the umpire who pulls me up the most and puts the most pressure on me on the whole tour. I have nothing against you, but I've had enough. You see, this is the problem with Divadal's statement here. You see, Divadal is saying, like his only problem with Bernardes, not that Bernardes is wrong for what he's doing. Bernardes is wrong because he is doing his job. And this is some fucking bullshit. Divadal needs to get his fucking life together. I mean, you lose the match and ain't nothing about you lost the match. Like, first of all, this pressure he's putting on you, it isn't pressure. You're wasting time on the court. And then you complain the day before that, we end up spending 3.5. We match finished at 3:30. We finished at 3:30 in the morning because your fucking ass was on court wasting time, and nobody pulled up your ass and said, Divadal, you're wasting time. It's 25 seconds before every match. We have this conversation. The umpires come on court and say, these are the tie break. It's a tie break set, whatever the case may be. There's challenge on this code, and you have 25 seconds between points. They say it all the time, for the women, for the men. I don't know how some of a sudden you seem to act as brand spanking you like you didn't know that this was the case. And that you want to get upset that he's putting pressure on you. What kind of fucking pressure? You have been former number one. You have 14 majors. Ain't no fucking putting pressure on your ass. The only pressure is you putting pressure on your ass. You need to get your shit together. It's 25 seconds. If you know you can't stick within the 25 seconds, you need to make up your mind that, you know what, I'm going to give away 5 points per match. That's the case. But what's even worse is that people rarely ever enforce the rules on your ass anyway. They may give a warning, but I have never seen you lose a point. So nobody's putting any pressure on you. This is just ridiculous. Then what was even more crazier is not Divadal comment. Was that Divadal crazy stands on Twitter? First of all, they got all upset with Carlos Bananas for doing his job. Now, I personally, you could have got mad with Carlos Bananas because he looks out of shape. He didn't get his shit together. And probably Carlos Bananas has made a lot of egregious calls in the past. But for once, he got this one right. Divadal deserved a fault. At the very least, he was wasting time. And I mean, that's considering a lot when he's playing Fognini. And Fognini, waste time during the game itself. So, I mean, to the point where Carlos Bananas had to tell Divadal that he should stop wasting time. I mean, that was a lot. But Divadal fans were just like, who is Carlos Bananas? What's wrong with him? So they know Divadal has a condition. And I was like, what condition does Divadal have? They're like, he has OCD. I was like, he has what? You motherfuckers, do you even know what OCD really means? Do you know what it is, how it works? I was just like, has this been diagnosed? So what, Carlos Bananas should make an exception? He has a disability now. This is a disability for Divadal, OCD. What the fuck is wrong with you? Crazy people. Divadal lost the match, okay? Get over yourself. And Divadal does not have OCD. He may have some tics like OCD, but he is not an overcompulsive disorder. I don't want to say victim, but candidate. But he doesn't suffer from this condition. Okay, he doesn't. People who have OCD and truly have OCD, it's life debilitated. They can't come outside. They're basically, it's uncontrollable. Divadal doesn't have this. He has some match rituals. He has things he likes to do, like most players. Most players bounce the ball a certain way. Most players want. They all have some tics or superstition. And then, if that wasn't enough for them, they went off and say, "Oh, Divadal sweats too much. He needs more than 25 seconds to wipe himself." I was like, "Look, you bitches need to shut the fuck up, because this is crazy." First of all, if they've ever watched any Divadal match, I mean, Divadal does not spend more than 25 seconds toweling himself. He takes the fucking time to pull his underwear, scratch his balls, scratch his ass, touch his hair, do all kind of shit. It has nothing to do with the towel. It has nothing to do with sweat. So I don't know what the fuck, he sweats too much. I mean, isn't he an athlete? I mean, I'm confused here. He sweats too much and he's an athlete. I am a little bit confused here. Maybe he should be, so you're going to tell me, oh, I can't be a swimmer because I get wet in the water. People, I would tell you, motherfuckers to take a seat, but you see, that's the problem. Y'all are sitting down and tweeting. So I think y'all need to be in a communication blackout. No Twitter, no tweeting, no messaging, no posting. Because y'all putting too much madness and shit into this world. And y'all need to just shut the fuck up, get the fuck away from your fingers, and just watch a match and then keep your peace at home. Nobody needs to hear your shit outside. Because y'all are really wild and ridiculous. And while we're talking about wild and ridiculous here, we're going to move on to another story with Andrea Petkovic. Now, Andrea Petkovic, like I said earlier in the podcast, she won Antwerp. Then she showed up the next week for Dubai. And she had a first round match against Serena Diaz, I think, of Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan, one of those stands. I hope it's Uzbekistan, but anyway, that'd be Kazakhstan. Anyway, she is from one of those former USSR countries, Soviet Union, whatever, which hasn't existed for a long time. Most people probably might even know, well, most of you young kids who listen to the podcast, Soviet Union used to be basically all of Eastern Europe and all of Asia except India, Pakistan, and China. Might be wrong about it. Of course I'm wrong about this, but anyway, Serena Diaz, whatever. So they were playing, and I think it was at five games all, I think, or 6-5 or something like that in the first set. Anyway, and they were playing on a court which doesn't have Hawkeye or challenge system. So the umpire overruled the call and said the ball was in, and Petkovic was upset, thought the ball was out. I think on replay it can be seen that the ball was more than likely the ball was out. But anyway, unfortunately, these things happen, and I think players should sort of insist that if they're showing up at a tournament, if Hawkeye is available on the main show code, it should be available everywhere else. If it's not, then it shouldn't be enforced. That's just my opinion. Because to me, it's there is no point in just because the top players get to have a challenge system. I mean, when was the last time you ever seen Roger Federer, Nadal, Serena, Venus play a match where there's no challenge? Actually, that's not true. I believe in Auckland, there's no challenge system there at all. That's one tournament, if that comes to mind. But I mean, if it's at one tournament, if it's at several courts, it should be in all the courts, because I think it becomes problematic and you have this other situation happening. Anyway, but that wasn't even the main system. So Petkovic got upset and she threw a temper tantrum. That's putting it mildly. She threw her racket down on the court. She got on her hands and knees and she was screaming and she was cursing profanity. She was out of control. Then eventually she lost the set. Then she proceeds to throw her racket so close to it almost hit a lines person. And the lines person was just like, what the fuck? And she was just and she just went over and got her racket and then tapped it down. This was insane. She almost hit an official. Do you know what happened to Andrea Petkovic? But you don't tell me. Wait for it. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing happened to Andrea Petkovic. She wasn't fined. She wasn't paying any fees. She wasn't kicked out of the tournament. I don't even think she may have got a warning at the very least. And that was it. There was no huge big story right up about the match. As a matter of fact, the whole scenario became almost a YouTube funny thing, oh my God, Andrea Petkovic had a meltdown. No, let us go back, rewind a little bit more to 2009 when Serena got up in the lines umpire face. The whole world went on fire. Serena was fined twice. Serena almost paid $100,000 in fines and fees, not only to the US Open, but also to the ITF. Mary Corella lost her panties, her boxer short, lost her panties, whatever she wears on her hair, whatever, lost her wig, she lost her fucking mind as well. She got out of control about Serena should have been banned, she should have been kicked out, as if Serena put her hand on a coach, on a lines person. But no, again, we see this crazy madness going on, and only for certain people, they lose their fucking mind over it. So there was Petkovic almost hit an umpire. She didn't lose her life. She should have been kicked out of that tournament. She should have been charged. She should have given all her fees. That she should have been banned from tour because it was only luck, not because of her luck, but the line sportsman luck that he wasn't hit in the face. And he was gonna break, there was gonna be blood. But everyone is just thinking, oh, she got upset in the heat of the moment. Had that been Serena, we would have a whole different story. Also, had it been Serena having this conversation with Carlos Bananas, our 2011 when she was in US Open final with Eva Azaraki, people would have lost their mind over that. But here again, Divadal and Andrei Petkovic were allowed to have this kind of madness and behavior on court, and no one made a big deal about it. It was funny for most people, but for me, it is funny insofar as to say it's funny how people's reaction to Divadal and Andrei Petkovic isn't that their behavior is psychotic or systematic, or this is a one-off for them. This is just, tempers flaring. This is understandable. But all of a sudden, it turned out to be Serena behaving like this. Or with Donald Young probably getting a little crazy on Twitter. It becomes, who the fuck does he think he is? He's entitled. It's crazy. It's psychotic. It's become some kind of a pathological behavior. And somehow they should be reprimanded and put out of control. But when it's Petkovic and Divadal, nope, we don't say anything. So, I just want to put that out there, and I just want to keep this because I think I want to come back to this whole, what I think this is, as we get into our feature story. And our feature story today is Serena's return to Indian Wells. I mean, Reels couldn't let this story pass and not say anything. I really couldn't. We have to get into Serena's return to Indian Wells because this, in my opinion, has set the Twitter world and the internet world and the journalistic world on fire. And y'all are being some crazy motherfuckers with this shit now. Y'all are too wild and out of control with this shit. And I think it's time we set this drama straight. It's really time. And some people are gonna be mad at me, but I don't care. I'm being fair. There's no agenda here. And I'm just gonna really try to give it as best as I think it should be given. And these are opinion. People mightn't like it, but I think I am trying again. I'm trying to be fair here. But anyway, let's go. So Serena has not been at Indian Wells for probably 14 years. Which since 2001, she played the final against Kim Clijsters. She was booed mercilessly. Richard Williams said, that, people call him nigger and, nigger and other derogatory terms in the stand. And to be quite frank, I absolutely believe him. I think it was absolutely true. The WTA decided to call this allegedly happened, but I think it happened. I mean, we have seen in the past where I believe it was in Charleston or sometime in one event, Serena had an incident where a gentleman was making all sort of comment in the crowd, and the crowd got on top of him, and Serena had to ask the umpire to let the guy go out because he was definitely saying some nasty things about her from the stand. And trust me, it doesn't just show up in tennis; it shows up in all sports. People go wild and crazy. You just go to any streaming or any comment section involving Serena, you would see the litany of abuse and disgusting nonsense. I mean, people go crazy, lose their fucking mind. But anyway, that incident basically had caused the day before, Serena had pulled out of the semifinal against Serena because she was injured. Now everyone thought it was match fixing, but to be fair, Indian Wells didn't say this, but Serena Venus had pulled out well earlier before they decided to announce it. But they thought, she can get better and, yada, yada. They decided not to say anything because they wanted people to show up for tickets and for other events. Anyway, when people find out that, they made it, Indian Wells, if I'm not mistaken, made it seem as though Venus had pulled out at the very last minute. She was about to come on court and she didn't show up. She didn't want to come out there. So people lost their mind and they allowed the story to fester that Richard Williams was match fixing, which I think is ridiculous, and they should have dealt with that man appropriately and told the truth, because it's unfair to have players show up, and because of your incompetence and your mismanagement, you allow this sort of bullshit to go around. But you know what? Any news is good news sometime in this world of publicity, and I guess this is how these people decided to operate. Anyway, so the people's reaction, and Venus and Serena said they were not going to show up at Indian Wells ever again. And they certainly kept to that until 2015. So we have 2001, last time they played there, and then 2015. Now, WTA decided they had this major boycott. I guess just Venus and Serena had this quote-unquote major boycott. And WTA had changed around the rules so that Indian Wells became a premier mandatory event. Well, I don't know what the fuck that means in these people's mind, but I guess it just suffices to mean that they had to show up. and they didn't show up, so they were fined for not being present. And Venus and Serena clearly didn't care because they got loads of money in the bank. So WTA could keep that shit as much as they want to. I'll try to find them as long as they want, but they didn't give a shit. Anyway, so all of a sudden, Venus and Serena are back. Serena, this year it was announced that Venus and Serena made this big news, made this new video. Hey guys, I'm going back to Indian Wells. I've decided, it was a very traumatic experience for me. And, hold on, let me get the actual quote. I don't want to be before her fans come out and try to grab my wig and say, that, I was trying to lie. She said, it has been difficult for me to forget spending hours crying in Indian Wells' locker room after winning in 2001. Driving back to Los Angeles feeling as if I had lost the biggest game ever. Not a mere tennis game, but a bigger fight for equality. I'm fortunate to be at a point in my career where I have nothing to prove. I am still as driven as ever, but the ride is a little easier. I play for the love of the game, and it is that love in my mind and a new understanding of the true meaning of forgiveness that I will proudly return to Indian Wells in 2015. Okay, so that was her stance after, she said this. And you thought that would have been enough. She's coming back to Indian Wells. Okay, boo-hoo, congratulations, girl. We give you a round of applause for that. But apparently, this was more dramatic than it needed to be. She's going to be doing something in terms of, I guess, she's working with the Justice League, for equality. But that wasn't even the most egregious thing for me at that point. Then I read a couple of articles by, a lot of these people, who said, he spoke to. What really upset me, because personally, I can understand the Williams' personal stand of boycotting this event. It was really egregious. I mean, if I had gone somewhere and I was winning something and people had treated me in this manner, I personally wouldn't have showed up. I wouldn't have showed up ever. I wouldn't necessarily think they're racist behavior, and other people can show up there, because that was the thing. Because other African-American, Black players, minority players have showed up at Indian Wells since Venus and Serena in 2001. Sloane Stephens, Madison Keys, all of them have shown up there. James Blake, they have played and done relatively well, not so well. I think James made the final at one point, that semi-final. They've been there, and none of them has said that this was a racist event. I mean, and granted that tennis does have racism, but I don't think it shows up in an event as how it is. I think that, the crowd was racist, and the crowd was definitely hooliganistic behavior. That is one thing, and this doesn't show up in tennis, it shows up in football and whatever the case may be. And I can understand their personal experience as to why they chose not to return to Indian Wells. Now, all of a sudden, you want to come back. That is fine. But you don't need to have this whole big charade, because, in fact, the tournament never acknowledged the fact that the incident happened insofar as that there were racist comments. They keep saying allegedly happened. In everything now, they don't even talk about it. They just call it the incident now. But in the past, it was like when they allegedly called them these derogatory words. Nobody wanted to admit this, because I figured everyone thought that the Williams sisters were being Richard Williams is doing his nonsense. But since 2001, Venus and Serena has shown everyone that they are really the top two women in this generation. It's them. Venus has 7, Serena has 19 majors. They have tons of titles. Lindsay Davenport Sydney has 3 majors. Martina Hingis only has 5. I mean, Jennifer Capri has 3, if I'm not mistaken. Kim Clijsters has 3 or 4, and Justine Henin has 7, like Venus. And Venus is still playing. Justine is dissipated. So from that entire generation, Venus and Serena has been it. But nobody would have thought that in 2001. Maria only has 6, but she has ways to go, I imagine. But Venus and Serena has remained the epitome of the sport, like it or not. But I didn't think people thought so in 2001. So they really didn't give a shit. But now Serena is the #1 player and has been the #1 player for 2 years in a row now. And plus she's been #1 player before. And she is clearly, for many people in many people's mind, the greatest female tennis player there is. People having a lot of, they wanted her to come back to this tournament. But to me, I think this is just mainly It's money. But look at some of the nonsense I am actually reading with this whole event. This guy, Bill Simmons, if I'm not mistaken, I'm calling him out because this is what he wrote. This man quoted a story in the 14-year-old tale of Long J's deep road push-pull question behind the scenes lobbying clever roads in the arc of moral universe. Serena's long road to Indian Wells. What the fuck is this bullshit? Are you kidding me? In this article, this man quote said he went up to Richard Williams and just like, "You're a Christian, right? Isn't Jesus about forgiveness?" What the fuck? And then went on to be like, he's quoting like Oscar Johnson, all these people, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, how they know the long arc of moral universe is long, but bent was justice. I mean, this is just insane. People, it's just a fucking tennis tournament. If Serena didn't play for 14 years and she's gonna show up, there's no need to put all this crazy spin on it. They don't need all this nonsense and garbage. People are acting like all of a sudden like racism has ended. Like all of a sudden Serena show up at tennis world, at Indian world, that tennis is no longer gonna have a racist problem. I mean, did I not just point out to you that Andrea Petkovic and Divadal acted the same way Serena did, and all of a sudden they weren't treated as harshly? People still talk about Serena every time there is a Serena match, and Serena grunts a little bit. Everybody be like, remember that 2009 US Open? Remember that 2011 US Open? Oh my God, she has a foot fault. Wait for it. She has a foot fault. Wait for it. Oh, she got call instruction. Wait for it. Wait for it. I mean, this happens all the time. That is the bullshit racism that continue. That to me is nonsense. Because, you know, Serena is held to a different standard. Yes, she's the number one player. But these people act as if when Serena shows up for a tennis match, she's about to turn, it's like a cage animal. That they're about to release a cage animal on court. And the other girl across the court, Serena is being intimidated. I mean, can you get any more intimidating than Maria Sharapova? Maria Sharapova shut down that girl Panova. Panova didn't lose that match because Maria Sharapova got better. That girl, I forgot her name, Anna Panova in Melbourne in the second round match. She lost the match because Maria intimidated the hell out of her ass. She showed that girl, if you wanted to win this fucking match, you had to beat my ass on court. But we don't talk about Maria's intimidation factor. We talk about Maria's heart and her competitiveness, her drive to win. But Serena, look at this. She is being all. This is just natural. That is racism. That shit is what we need to get rid of. Not some rowdy crowd. The rowdy crowd, they know that they can't behave. It's like, we have seen in football, there are ways to deal with the rowdy crowd. What we need to deal with is the institutionalized racism within the sport. That's what we need to deal with. We also need to deal with the fact that Taylor Townsend get a lot of attention. Yes, she deserves some attention. And Lepchenko, who is higher ranked than Serena, than Taylor Townsend, doesn't have a sponsorship. Nope, she doesn't. She be wearing, I swear to God, it looks like Lepchenko is wearing her old clothes. That's just me. She doesn't have a sponsorship, and she's a decent player, and she's in the top 30s. I think she may be fell out because she's injured right about now. She's a top 50 player, but doesn't get any play. Tristina McHale gets play, but not Lipchenko. So we have a look of like, oh, you have to have a certain look. You have to have a certain, you know, thing, even though they don't have the talent. It's not about talent, and we know that. So this whole nonsense with this Indian well nonsense, I think Serena is doing well too much. And what is also interesting is that Indian Wells decided to invite Serena, but not Venus. Venus said, they didn't invite me. So you have this talk about wanting the Williams sisters to come back over there and showing up. Who shows up there? Just Serena? You didn't even ask Serena? Venus? Something doesn't smell right here to me. This is just all a bunch of bullshit. Then you have this whole, then Roger Federer, they decided to pull Roger Federer into this conversation. I don't know what for, but Roger Federer, this is what Roger Federer said. He said, I expected it to happen much earlier, to be honest, especially as soon as Larry Ellison came in. At some stage, I thought they would have talked about it and worked it out in some shape or form and just say, like, you know, what happened before, let's move on. I understand it was a big deal for her, and it's nice seeing that she's moving on. It's such a nice tournament, and she would have played the last 14 years. She probably would have won at least 5-10 times the event. Maybe cost her many weeks at world number one. If you think about it, she could have added those 500 to 1,000 points throughout. So it's a big sacrifice on her side. And I think it's nice to see her back in Indian Wells, I must say. Oh, well, Serena, out of control fans lost their fucking mind. Who the fuck is Roger Federer? He shouldn't say anything. He's being disrespectful. He never gives Serena any props. I think he gives her props even within this. And to be fair, the men and the women rarely ever comment on the other person's side. They usually don't. So it's nothing new here. And I think he said pretty much what I think should be said. He said, like, people figured she would have returned sooner. I think a lot of people did. I certainly wouldn't have returned anytime at all. But that's not me. People thought that she would have returned sooner. As a matter of fact, she had made statements. She was actually on the draw last year, but she pulled out. Patrick had made the comment to one reporter, apparently, that Serena was going to play Indian Wells last year. But now, all of a sudden, it turned into a circus, an absolute circus. She's putting out video. So let me get this straight, Serena. And girl, I love you. I have nothing but respect for you. But let me get this straight. So you have this issue with racism in tennis, and then all of a sudden you're putting out this video and you're saying, oh, I'm returned to Indian Wells, traumatic experience, and you decide to feel questions about what you eat and then about your dog Chip. Girl, let's talk about the issue. That is some bullshit. If you're here to talk about for justice and equal rights, let's have that conversation. Nobody gives a shit about when you win, what you eat for breakfast, or what you like, how you put your hair up at night. Those are silly questions. That's not what you're here for. If that's what you're going to be doing, you can do that every other day. You can do that on Twitter. You can do that on your Facebook page. You can have it put out your own video. But to have this opportunity where you say you're going to be dealing with quote unquote racism and you're way back to equalness, and you're having this, no, girl, no, too much. No. Serena, you get a sad horn today. And what I wish you would talk about is this double standard that happens to you when it comes to tennis coverage in terms of how people discuss you and write about. That's what I wish you would talk about. But you see, you're not having that conversation. And at this point, I don't think you can, because nobody wants to hear you when you just basically made this whole incident, this whole charade into this whole production. And and everyone is acting like if Indian Wells suffered without Serena and Venus. As much as the Williams sister has done a great job for tennis, Indian Wells would work without them or with them. Well, just the same. I mean, the top men show up at Indian Wells. I mean, like, it's almost like the second major. They have, 8 or 11 days of play. Okay, they have like 6 rounds of tennis. Trust me. Everybody in the grandmother there, you have events to see. The only thing they don't have at Indian Wells is mixed doubles. And everybody was showing up there. So I don't know what this whole talk about Venus and Serena, Indian Wells missed them. No. What Indian Wells missed was more money they could probably make with Venus and Serena showing up. Because I bet your ass that Indian Wells has raised the price of tickets for this year, Indian Wells, haven't they? And they're going to make a whole big song on production. You know what's even hilarious? I'm almost sure Serena mightn't win the title because she might get injured because she pulled out of Doha, saying that she has a respiratory problem. So she might even play the event. I might show up sick altogether. And meanwhile, since she won't be playing Maria in the first round, her ass might lose early. And that's not wishing her bad. So please don't get upset saying wishing her bad. What I'm simply saying is that this whole production about Serena return to Indian Wells has turned into too ridiculous of a thing. This is no longer anything serious. We can't even try to derive a serious conversation from how they're steering this conversation. Yes, supposedly you can say she wants to move on, but you can't move on without having the proper discussion. And donating money to some cause, yes, that is cute. That is important. Equal justice, liberation, whatever that company's organization is called. That is important, Serena. However, what is really important is to have the actual conversation. And that's not what you're having. What you all need to be talking about how some fans go crazy and out of control and say these mean things, mean, racist, sexist, out of control, homophobic things online. But y'all are not having that conversation. What y'all are having a conversation about? Serena, what do you eat what do your favorite food? Sushi, what do you like to do? I like to hang out with Chip, my little dog. No, girl, again. This is just useless chatter. I need it to stop. It's on tennis, it's unproductive, and it is far more importantly, it's irrelevant. But you know what? I know you're making some money off of this shit. So I can't be mad at you. Making more coins, I'm never gonna be mad at anyone making some coins. But you know what? I'm gonna say this is really, I don't want to say dishonest, but I am disappointed. I'm disappointed in the whole production. It is unnecessary. It's too much. I can't stand it. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I really even want to watch Indian Wells because of this whole nonsense. Because I swear I would lose my fucking mind if I hear these people going on about, oh my God, Serena is that, and your whole match to like, oh my God, she's here. Serena playing at Indian Wells on the court is no different than playing in Miami. Yes, again, it's the same kind of tennis that will be played. So a journalist is gonna go out of control and stupid, and it's gonna turn to this. Oh, it's gonna be so disgusting, and I can't wait for it to be Miami. But and I did kind of enjoy when y'all were not there, because to me it didn't take away. It didn't mean anything. Y'all will. It was a family thing. I could understand the need for y'all to make a family sense and say not playing at Indian Wells, and Indian Wells would just suck it. You shop in Miami. You live in Miami. Your home crowd showed up there, and now you're gonna shop in Miami all exhausted. And but I guess you figure you have already won 9 Miami titles, or 7 or 8, and you need some Indian Wells title. You need to have 3 or 4. I can understand that, but you could have just said that. You could have said, you know what, I like Indian Wells. I liked it when I was younger, and I felt I've moved past this tournament. It was a very traumatic experience because he was 17 or 19, if I'm not mistaken, 19. And I could understand that it would have been a traumatic experience for me. As a matter of fact, I would have been on that court and crossing these people. And as a matter of fact, I'd have gone up to the chair umpire and say, you know what, let me borrow this mic for a minute. Crowd, shut the fuck up. Y'all a bunch of motherfuckers, okay? Shut the fuck up. I'm in America. Y'all supposed to be cheering me on and y'all are booing me. I'm here playing the finals for y'all dumbasses. And y'all are trying to cheer on the foreigner. Get the fuck out of here. I would have said some shit like that. But, that's probably why I'm sitting in my home having this podcast and not out on the court, sitting on the court changeover, because, I'm too out of control for this shit. But, again, I can understand Serena saying, you know what, I need to come back to Indian Wells. I am mature. I'm over this incident. I am learned, have learned to deal with crowds. You've dealt with the French crowd. You've dealt with an Australian crowd who seems to be backing the other person. Deal with all of that, etc., etc. I can get that. You say, you know what, I want more Indian Wells title in my resume. I could get that. But this whole wave you're riding in to get in there this year, girl. No. Girl, bye. I can't with you. I cannot. I'm not with it. So, you know what? I'm going to give you... Yeah, I'm going to give you the dough. You're at the door. You need to go, boo. You need to go. I've had enough. I'm leaving. I am leaving from this bullshit. So, Serena, for this Indian Wells production, I'm going to give you a... I'm happy that you're there. You're going back. That's fine. But you know what? This one, I'm going to have to give it up to Venus. Because my girl represents as always. Venus says she's not showing up, and I don't blame her. She wants no part of this madness. And this is like the second time I'm seeing Serena with this kind of bullshit madness, media madness, with you and this Caroline Wozniacki woman's bullshit. Yeah, these things need to stop. It is ridiculous. You're making, you know what? Serena fans, you could come after me. I don't give a shit. It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Serena in the last, 6 months or so, this probably year, I guess. Well, no, let's say 8 months. It's ridiculous. This whole media campaign, I guess, because she's trying to hold on to her legacy. Because, look, people are not going to give you the credit you deserve, Serena, until you have retired. They're going to look back to the time when you're no longer present and think, oh my God, we were watching Serena for free, and now there's no longer Serena. You don't need any of these crazy legendary status while you are playing, girl. You need to concentrate on winning titles. That's all you need to be concentrated on. This media campaign and all this bullshit, it's ridiculous. It's distracting, and quite frankly, it is alienating the fans that you have cultivated. Me, for example, I just can't with you. I'm happy when you win, but all of this, oh, girl, no. Anyway, I think I've said enough on this piece, I'm looking forward to hearing your comments and whatever. And that, I think, basically rounds up my first official podcast. I don't know if you probably bear with me for this length of time. I think it's probably over an hour, but I hope you enjoyed it. I just want to say, if you're interested in this, I'm going to hear your feedback. If you hated it, I want you to say just that you hated it, but you need to give a reason. You just can't say I hate it. Stop being a troll. Stop being a booger and a troll, okay? If you didn't like it, say what you didn't like. If you have any comments in any section, if you felt, I was wrong or right, support, please put it in the box. And also give some suggestions of where you think I can improve it or get it to be better. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I enjoy doing a podcast, I think, because it's easy enough for me to be at home without worrying about, production and all the thing. I can sort of flow. I mean, it would be nice if I had guests, but what? I mean, doing it on my own is really cool too. So I think I got more confident, I would say, for myself as I went along. So let me know if you like it. You can comment on Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to post it onto the blog, and I'll put all that information in the comment section. It's going to be posted up on YouTube. You can also comment on YouTube. I'm using Google Hangout, so this doesn't. I'm so happy because I'm like a Luddite when it comes to technology sometimes. So again, I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback because I'm really like to, improve this and put my brand out there. This is all done for free. I'm making no money off of this, so people don't get mad. I'm hoping it can get better where I can put pictures when I'm talking about something instead of you just watching this icon moving up and down, just my face, basically, Realz Tennis Fan. But anyway, thank you for listening. If you got this far, I really appreciate it. I'm going to give you a round of applause for this. And I hope to hear from you soon and hear your comments. So have a good day and hope you're enjoying this podcast. Good night. Good day.